So, yeah. We said you were going to see the freaky weird stuff during the group stages, and yep, I'd say this qualifies. BEWBS haven't brought a carrier.
Interesting. That is something.
Yes. I mean, it may just be that they couldn't get a tier 10 carrier driver, or maybe that they think they can manage without. And I am going to kill whoever put that on. Anyhow.
Time for headbutts.
Indeed. Boom. And with that out of the way, let's get this show on the road. So, BEWBS, of course, pushing out, keeping their team together to start with. They really have got to overlap the flak, or TY Black's Hakuryu is just going to have himself a field day. It's not going to be all his way, though, of course, because, well, with the Minotaur, Hindenburg, Des Moines, second Hindenburg, Conqueror, they've got a lot of flak in that bundle at the moment. So if he makes an early push with his torpedo bombs, he is seriously going to regret it. He's also not going to have very many planes left.
Yes, but it does mean that spotting the destroyers, keeping them lit up, that's going to be relatively easy, and for something, the gearing is probably going to be running defensive, so it can at least scatter a drop, but the Z-52, he's going to have a real hard time defending himself from a concentrated strike. In fact, I'm not even sure if he can defend himself unless he's got a Minotaur right next to him. I don't think there's much he can do.
Unless he can get some flak support from somewhere else. It's not so much that he can be it's not so much that he can be struck from a long distance when, oh, here come the first torpedo bombs. Just taking a quick look at the BEWBS fleet and then backing off. He's not stupid, TY Black. He knows full well that if he tries to tackle that entire flak bubble at once, he'll just lose all his ships. The more important thing is that he's spotting, and that's something the 52 will not be able to do anything about. So they can effectively mission kill possibly both destroyers without really doing very much at all. BEWBS going mostly for C, staying overlap, detaching maybe a couple for B once they hit the junction point, but both of the BEWBS destroyers are pushing for C, and with the Hakuryu's fighters overhead, I imagine that GWDYS are already fully aware of this. And ooh, someone just put shots into Victress. Yeah, that was a solid AP broadside
as well.
Yeah,
nowhere effective.
21,000 damage straight off. However, and this is the difference that having air spotting makes. BEWBS can only really see GWDYS when they open fire.
Yeah, BEWBS are, well, for a moment there, BEWBS had every single ship that wasn't a destroyer carrier list. So, yeah, they're just kind of in a bit of a shooting gallery. And now, the thing is that GWDYS do have to unmask themselves if they want to take advantage of this, but
if
they find a nice island, then they don't have to at all.
And they can roll it. They can have one ship fire, BEWBS start to lock on, have another ship fire, and just stagger their firing sequences if they're clever. And they can just do it. And Blue Gigglefish in particular is in a really bad place because, okay, it's Victress in the Moscow that's taking the hits.
A bit of a heavy hit.
And Broadside Minotaur, I mean, can you say high-value target? And he was lucky not to take a serious beating there. And while we're looking at the BEWBS convoy making its way up, GWDYS have quietly snagged point A. So they're already running the points.
Yeah, minor gearing. Just them two alone down there in A. The Montana and Hindenburg that were going with them realized BEWBS aren't going for A, so there's no point going all the way down there. So they're coming back to B. Moscow on B, keeping that area completely locked. And then the rest of the force heading towards C. Absolutely.
And BEWBS are completely in the dark. They know roughly where the enemy is because they know where the shell splashes are coming from. And Blue Gigglefish just took another serious hit there, but they can't see the ships. I mean, they've picked up a Sergeant Cole's Conqueror, they've picked up Steel James's Hindenburg, and Zeus's Montana.
Hindenburg, Perrinless, he just took a massive hit from Montana, and he's getting hit by the
Yes.
AP as well. Ender's out.
I think he tried to just reposition and went broadside as a consequence, and that's a paddling. When you've got that much firepower on the other side of the lagoon, going broadside's definitely a paddling. Hickman Gunner trying the same manoeuvre. I think they're folding up. BEWBS have managed to grab themselves point C, so I wonder if they're going to try and just smash in across point C and try and defeat GWDYS in detail. Take them basically 1 or 2 ships at a time. Because I have to admit,
it's going to be very difficult. They've got a Des Moines positioned on this island on the south of the sea, which is a fantastic island. If he gets a little further back, he's quite close to the island, but if he pulls back a little bit more, he can fire over that, and he has majority radar of sea, so...
And he doesn't even need to pull that far back. It's quite a flat island. A kilometre or 2 should give him all the clearance he needs. BEWBS' gearing has swung back. I think he might be trying to maybe set up on point B and get an intercept there, but it's going to be too little too late, because GWDYS' Minotaur has gotten in, finished the cap, and yep, there's smoke deployed there. And TY Black's aircraft aren't pushing the attack at all. They're just content to form that lovely little circle of reconnaissance and just spot for the enemy team, which is exactly the right thing to do in a carrier in this kind of play. And yep, the unusual there ducked behind the island, got picked up briefly, maybe gone a little too far forwards, but he's picked up Blue Gigglefish. Giant Kiwi is desperately getting smoke onto Gigglefish to give him some cover and some relief, but BEWBS are going to have to stage a punch pretty fast or this game is over.
They're trading so much health just to get into any form of position because they're permanently lit up. I mean, the Montano did nothing. He's dead at this point. He's got so much fire. He's done for already.
Well, he is done for. He's got nowhere to go, and boom, first blood.
And
so
all the cruisers have had to trade a lot of their health. Like, majority of the team's below half health at this point. The destroyers haven't been spotted at all this game.
Yep.
I haven't even a torpedo salvo from anything this game.
Indeed, and as noted, the torp bombers, well, they're just ambling around, sipping on sake, and content to just feed coordinates back. Oh, there we go, 1 aircraft down. Got a bit too close to the Conqueror.
Finally spotted the gearing.
Yeah,
they're smoking up right in front of a torpedo salvo.
Yeah, this is not... Yeah, I think it's going to be Farewell Destroyer. Eats 1, eats 2. Eats some shellfire as well. He's on 494 health. Very lucky not to be dead, but...
radaring him.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's toast.
Boom.
Oh, Conqueror's getting struck by the carrier now.
Yep. And torpedoes running as well. That's... Yeah, that's an easy 4, and probably a flooding, given where those torpedoes landed. Yep, still ticking, and he's fire. Damcon is out, Mecro's contained it. But
he's just got so much fire that he's not going to last.
But again, he's got caught, he's exposed, he's got nowhere to go. Is it going to make a difference? They're putting so much DPS onto him that it's just not going to matter. Yeah, I mean, he had, what, a Minotaur, a DM, a Conqueror firing on him, and those are just the ones we can see.
There's a Hindenburg also laying into him. This Hindenburg's in a very nice position. He's not getting spotted by anything, but carrier. Yeah. He's got island cover versus everything he's firing at. Oh, Hindenburg of Perrinlands.
Yeah, it's a bold move, but again, he's just going to get focused.
Yeah,
and
not having a carrier is so killer in this.
Yeah, there goes Pillen. 742 to 218. As far as health pools go, BEWBS are down 300,000. I mean, they could pull this back if every single ship on GWDYS spontaneously detonated.
Yeah, they traded so much health to get in position, and without the spotting, they can't do anything in return.
I wouldn't say it's even without the spotting, it's without the fact that they can't run air defense. They can't force GWDYS' spotters off their planes. They can't get the breathing room they need to get set up, get engaged, get manoeuvred. And now it's Hickman's turn in the firing line. And he's doing exactly what his Hindenburg friend Perrinlands did a few minutes earlier, and with exactly the same effect, because boom, Glum gets the kill shot there, but he was under flanking fire from the gearing, I think, given the number of shells coming in each salvo.
There goes the Minotaur.
Yep.
C-52 is lit up, but nothing's shot him yet.
Yep, and it's really...
any shell will kill him.
They don't
No,
need
here
to.
we
Just
go.
needs random shots. Oh, he survived that one. Probably needs new underwear, but he survived to get some. Another salvo comes down. Okay, he's broken contact there, but the torque bombs are going to pick him up. And double drop there, but you know what? I think Renom's going to survive that
Might as well
one.
now.
Giant Kiwi, however, did not. Mostly because of the corpse of the Moskva. It's
Another
going to
airdrop.
soak those torpedoes. Ooh,
There you go.
yeah. Ouch. I think is the only possible word to sum that match up.
Yeah. Yeah. Not having a carrier is... It's devastating. Not being able to run air defense. I mean, the ships, especially the cruisers, have plenty of AA to keep themselves alive from a strike, for the most part. But they're just going to be lit up the entire time. And they can't do anything about it because, with a few exceptions, their air spotting range is longer than their AA defense. So,
Yeah, and
it does have to micromanage it a little, but...
And the problem is not that he was striking them. I mean, he put, what, 2 strikes in the course of that entire game. 1 into the Conqueror, 1 at the end. The problem was that he just had them spotted. Again and again and again. They couldn't break contact, they couldn't get away from the gunfire of the battle line, and they couldn't shoot back effectively because they didn't have their own spotting.
Yeah, that was...
That was one-sided.
That's one way to put it, yeah. It's definitely a one-sided... But...
Right, so we're gearing up again. Now, second match is Tears of the Desert. So, could get interesting because the cover is very much on a northwest-southeast line on this match. So, there's a lot less room for lateral movement. That said, if BEWBS don't get someone into a carrier, any tier 10 carrier, very, very quickly, I think we might be looking at a very fast end to this match.
Yes. If they're not going to field a carrier, do you think the GWDYS carrier might... Because he was running 422, the standard competitive carrier that we've seen all through KC5, and I assume we'll see all the way through 6.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he might go 332 for the extra little bit of strike power?
Honestly, I wouldn't in his position. For 2 reasons. First off, 422 is actually better in the scouting role, and that he's very obviously worked out that that's his job. The fighters are faster and I believe slightly more durable. I could be wrong there. The other reason is that if you work on the assumption that BEWBS are going to scramble a carrier up at the last minute, you're still going to want 422 because you're going to work on the assumption that he's not going to be their best carrier driver. It's going to be someone who's just been told, get a carrier out, any carrier, or we've had it. So I would stick air supremacy, honestly, just for the advantage. As tempting as it is to get that extra firepower, try and get a little bit of personal glory, not in a tournament game. Maybe in a random, because it's you and 11 others versus 12, but definitely not in a tournament, not where the team's more important than individuals. However, second game is in play, map is loading up.
And no carrier once again.
Yeah. And once again, BEWBS insists on loading up my option screen. So yeah, looking at the lineups, it's an exact repeat. GWDYS, obviously, they have a winning formula. They're not about to break it for this game. BEWBS, I can only assume, did not have a carrier driver handy, which is fair enough. There aren't actually that many tier 10 carrier drivers in the game population.
Hmm. Time for the ritual ramming.
Indeed. Witness!
I feel disappointed that I'm the only one here.
Anyhow, Ritual ramming is done. So, quick overfly of Tears of Theirs. Of course, until recently known as Tears of the Cruisers, still not their favourite map. But BEWBS once again keeping themselves tightly overlapped, trying to avoid the worst of the strike potential, but that's not the worst a carrier does to you in competitive. Worstis is peeling off, trying to make a grab for B. Looks, however, like they're mostly going to try and do a smash through C and just basically hope they can use the island chain to cover themselves while they get into position.
Yeah, it looks like GWDYS are going predominantly down towards the C side. They've got a small force heading over towards A.
Mm-hmm.
Des Moines heading towards A, as kind of expected. A is probably the best way you can actually have radar coverage, because there's plenty of good islands there which
Indeed, you've got that nice chain hopping down through the 5 line, which lets you get very easily from A to B without being seen too much.
The bombers just charging straight into the middle of the map, lighting up the entire team immediately.
Yes, and Worstis realises the trouble he's in, and Torque Bombers aren't backing off quite so fast this time. I think they wanted to take a better look, and they've paid for it with half their number, but Worstis has been forced to break away. So that capture of B has been... Yes, and Pop Smoke as well. So, okay, it's US Smoke. Okay, he's probably got plenty of spares, because I don't see anyone not running premium in this situation. But the problem is that with the dive bombers round on Iota 8, GWDYS now basically know exactly what BEWBS are doing. All secrecy is gone, and again, I think we may well see just how big of a deal the information war is in high-level competitive play in World of Warships.
Yeah, but GWDYS already adjusting their strategy. They're sending the Hindenburg just to go cap A, so they actually have the points. And then the Des Moines and Conqueror that were heading up there immediately turned around and start pressurizing B.
Exactly. And BEWBS, of course, no idea of this. They've seen a Moskva, Hindenburg and Montana. It's not been quite so one-sided, because Point C is fairly open water, so they will at least be able to shoot back with moderate effectiveness. But with the destroyers being forced into smoke, Giant Kiwi there had to launch his with aircraft overhead to preserve the cap. Again, they've got this problem, because a destroyer that has to go into smoke isn't spotting. Well, Hydro aside, but that's not really a situation at these ranges.
Torpedo's going into a smoke cloud on C. He's that side of the smoke.
No, Kiwi is not stupid. He's well clear of those torpedo tracks. And, okay, this is going to be a little more even, because they can see Babish, they can see Zeus, they can see Glum from mutual spotting. So they can at least shoot back, but Babish has angled, and, well, Hindenburgs aren't the toughest boat, but he's tanking the worst of it.
This position that Victrix is in the Moskva is completely compromised. He's got a Des Moines on his broadside farming him with AP, and they won't even be able to see him. He's in B, and there's island covering. So Victrix, he needs to get out of there, otherwise they might just outright kill him, as might the Conqueror and Hindenburg that also have that exact same shot. There's another chunk gone.
Yeah, and this is the problem with Moskva. It's very tough, well, relatively tough from the front by Kyrgyzstan's, but it's not just the front. BEWBS going for C. They've surrendered 2/3 of the map, maybe more, and now the forces that were on A and B can just swing round and start closing down that flank. And their whole team's about to get caught in a crossfire. Victrix just happens to be the biggest target at the moment. I tell you why, he was the biggest target. Now he's the biggest pile of wreckage.
From that position.
Yeah, Gigglefish is trying to break away, but again, those planes are just showing no mercy. They're not letting BEWBS get any kind of manoeuvring room at all. No breathing space, no chance to get a plan together, and no chance just to try and get onto the front foot. And Worstis there, okay, he's in C, but again, those fighters are keeping him locked. And I don't think he's got defensive fire. He's knocked down one of the cruisers. There we go. They forced another smoke out of him, so that buys him a few seconds of relief, but at the cost of basically a mission kill. He can't spot. He can barely torpedo at those ranges. And oh no, he's still moving. He's trying to outrun smoke, but again, the fighters and the bombers are just going to pick him up the moment he comes out the far side. So
not having the carrier is devastating.
Yeah, I will give BEWBS credit for this, though. They've managed to swing their battle line round in an organised fashion, and I've seen a lot of teams that could not do that. So they're now all running for B, and that is actually pretty impressive manoeuvring and coordination. I mean, we've seen even some of the top 16s where a battle line would just fragment if a plan started falling apart. It's not going to help Renelm, though, who's currently taking a beating.
He has got unspotted, though.
But there's still fire coming down on his last known position. He has turned, and now he's spotted again. I mean, the cap fighters are kind of helping, but yeah, it's not a pleasant situation. And there we go. Nice work from Kiwi there, dropping smoke to cover his teammates as they move into what can politely be described as Torpedo Alley.
Well, the smoke's fine for the Minotaur, definitely, but the Hinderman Conqueror, they're just getting spotted as soon as they open up their guns, so it's really not helping them in any case. So
yeah, if they go silent, they can use it to maneuver. But we might have almost seen GWDYS' first loss there, but their Des Moines, under the unusual, managed to drop back into cover and get unspotted. And yeah,
problem for that smoke screen though is that most of it's under that Des Moines radar coverage. So
yeah, so it buys them a few seconds, but yeah, and of course the moment they're coming out one at a time. So it bought them a few seconds to get through the gap, but they're going to have to turn off immediately, and Mecro is just going to have to do a hard starboard here and hope he can soak fire long enough to get his new boat button back into play. And you know what? I don't think GWDYS are going to give him that time. He's down to 10,000. He's not busted his engine. He has deliberately decelerated. In fact, he's gone to a full stop. Oh, no, they're not going to give him the time. 2,000 health, multiple fires, boom. Right, so first meat shield has gone. The cruisers are still trying to clear the corridor and the smoke's faded. This is, well, Perrinlands is doing what he can. The Unusual's been caught, however. Boom, first blood to BEWBS. And they have it. It is at least not going to be a total embarrassment here. They've managed to kill something.
Blue Gigglefish getting shot at by the Minotaur, the Moskva. Sorry, the Montana and the Moskva, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, he's angled against the forces to the northeast, but that just means he's giving that Conqueror up by Delta 5, Delta 4, a clean shot at his flank. Luckily, no one seems too intent on stopping it. They're all focusing on Perrin because, well, Perrin's the one capping. Or at least one of the ones capping. Both destroyers are also there as well. I suspect we'll see T push his fighter squadron up, start trading planes for intelligence. He's got plenty of spares.
Oh,
and yet
massive hit on Blue Gigglefish by the enemy.
Boom, yeah, and followed up with the Moskva, yeah, and TY Blacks, there we go, he's trading his fighters for information. He's pushed that central squadron right the way up into the flak bubble, and everything's exposed. Of course, it has cost him his run, but hey, he's got spares. It's not like they're really getting shot down. And Perrinlands, there we go.
There. He almost died out there, but he had Damcon for the fire. When there comes the new ship button, so...
Yeah, Perrinlands goes down. And again, the carrier is what's making the difference here. It's not quite so one-sided, because the way the terrain set up meant that sea was open water and a good shooting gallery for both sides. But it's still... yeah.
Ooh, nice shot by the Montana.
Yes, I think that was at least one Citadel.
Now it's just a case of, well, what do they shoot now? Are they going to try and kill the destroyers first, or are they going to focus on the Montana first?
Right, I think GWDYS and Kiwi are trying for a cross-drop on Steel James. Kiwi's put his torpedoes in the water, and here's the funny thing, GWDYS has gone down thanks to Hydro, and if Steel James just accelerates, if he's got
which he is doing, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Montana's got a nice shot on him, though. Ooh, taking a nice chunk.
And he's also not clearing...
He might just go down to Z-52 fire.
The gunfire might do the job. He's going to clear the torpedo track, but...
Or blind drop in on the Z-52 from the carrier.
Indeed. Only the 4, but Kiwi knows what he's doing. He's backed up, and the first wave is going to miss. Second wave is also going to miss as well. Meanwhile...
Oh, no, he drove straight into them because he got spotted by either Hydro or radar, so he went forward into the torpedo instead.
And that's what panic gets you. And of course, because he is still spotted, now the Hindenburg is looking at him. Steel James is out for a bit of revenge. Steel James, of course, managed to pop his repair party. He's not going down very hard, and I think, yeah, wow. Blindside from Call Me Babish. Straight through the gap in the irons. We didn't even see Babish. We didn't know he was there. So, completely unsuspecting, and that is the end of that. BEWBS lose 2-0. They are not out of the tournament, however. This is a round robin. So, they have at least one chance to haul this back, but Guys Who Dated Your Sister there. Okay, maybe not the best one as far as the form book goes, but pretty impressive display.
Yep, they did the typical King of the Sea thing. They split their forces. They didn't go in one clump, and when you have no carrier, going one clump is honestly your best bet. You maximize your AA, and you have enough firepower in one location that if the enemy has split, which you kind of expect them to do, you can maybe just overwhelm that force, get some nice damage off, and potentially take a few kills in the time it takes them to pick you off with the advanced spotter.
Yes, the whole problem with that plan is the bit about where they're picking you off with spotting from the aircraft.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if nothing else, it's an impressive demonstration of exactly why you need to get yourself a Tier 10 carrier driver, any Tier 10 carrier driver, I would say, if you intend to get into this level of play. However, they are up for a third match, and we have got the time. So, I don't know about you, but I'm quite happy to go for that stump.
Yeah, we can see how this third game goes. Both teams look like they're up for it. Good practice as well.
Absolutely. Third match, and this is more for pride than anything, is Sleeping Giant in, again, 3-point domination mode. So, given that the match is essentially resolved, you have to wonder if GWDYS will decide, you know what, just leave the carrier at home. GWDYS are just pulling their people back. I think a few of them had gone off to do other things, assuming that the match was over. Yeah. So, one final round. This is, of course, purely for the sake of pride and hauling something back. And part of me is kind of hoping that TY Black does leave his Hakuryu at home, because if he doesn't, then this map, particularly the eastern side of it, really does like having some good carrier spotting.
Definitely.
The west side, not so much. You've got that trap point round A with islands north and south that just basically block fire. But that cluster of islands on B and C, and the relatively open water at B, yeah, that can go... that turns into a shooting gallery, and it turns into an information war once again.
Well, we're definitely seeing some changes in lineups. That's for certain. I'm seeing quite a few ships that weren't taken last time. Definitely different choice. Okay. I get the feeling GWDYS might not be taking this seriously, but hey, it's the game's decided. They've won
The match.
2-0, so...
Absolutely. Let's experiment a bit. Try some different ships, try a different lineup. Provided it's within the rules of the tournament, who cares? Okay, so teams are just about readying up. I think they have to pull back the other caster. No, they don't. Rain's on yours.
We need one more on GWDYS side.
We need one more on GWDYS, yeah. And once that's done, yeah, just a game for a bit of fun and a bit of pride. Okay, there's the last GWDYS player in. And as soon as he's readied up, we are good to go. final ready checks. Everyone is set.
Alright, here we go.
Indeed. For pride, for honour, for the BEWBS. We are setting up for round 3.
So yeah, immediately we've got differences. We still have a carrier versus no carrier match, but it's not a Hakuryu this time. As a midway.
Ah. Now that's interesting because Midway has that fixed 2-2-2 loadout. I wonder if he has decided to just get himself snowed. And it's a different player. It's NWC Fear this time, not T but Y. Sorry, TY Black has taken a Moskva instead.
Yeah, so the cruiser picks are still standard. It's the battleships and carriers and destroyers that have changed. So we got Midway instead of Hakuryu. We have Republic and Yamato making an appearance. And we also have
one Shimakaze. Now that, in and of itself, is unusual. Conventional wisdom is, of course, 2 Yayangs or Gearings. But, we shall see. For the moment, however, I already used the Witness Me joke, didn't I? Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to have to think of some new ones.
For another 5 hours, you might want to think of it more.
Yeah. Not that it really matters. Anyhow. BEWBS, again, doing the only thing you really can do when you've got no carrier on your team, as you say, clumping up, overlapping the flak, and hoping just to intimidate the enemy planes off with raw DPS. I think Victrix might possibly be suffering some lingering trauma from the beating he took in that last game. Anyhow... Yeah, so, wow, they are actually moving into C. With no carrier, I would have thought they would have tried either for the hard cover of A or the open water of B, so they could at least shoot back. But with all those low islands in C, this could get messy.
Yeah, GWDYS here doing typical things, splitting forces. We've got majority heading towards... Actually, we've got pretty even split. 4 and 4 each side.
Alright, so AC spread?
Yep, AC spreads. Looks like the Moskva's going to be taking up a position in between B and C to have complete radar control. There's the spots.
And more to the
I
point...
think that's literally the entire team, apart from the carrier.
What
yep,
carrier?
It was everyone but the carrier.
If you talk about BEWBS, I remind you, what carrier?
Oh yeah, so that was everyone,
probably the entire team, yes. And of course, now that Moskva has suddenly realized, oh wait, we only need to put one ship into A to make the cap. Everything else can go B and just pin them and turn C into a shooting gallery. But BEWBS got to their control point first. So that's interesting. And TY Black's been spotted, but pointed out he's angled up, he's covered, and, well, he's only really vulnerable if he fires.
I've got Shima Torps heading in, and this is where I think they fought the Shima. If they're going to clump up so much, bring a Shima, saturate an area,
have yourself a proper little carnival.
Yep. So the C channel's being torped right now. I assume.
Yes,
spotted.
and they're spotted all right.
Oh
wow!
Take 2 here at least, I think.
Perrin's going to eat at least 1. He might just squeak clear of that second. Victrix torpedo beats through. But more than that, it's forced all the cruisers off into that channel, and Perrin just paid hard for that. He had to go broadside.
Yamato?
From the damage, oh god, yes, that was the Yamato. Someone taking a look at Gigglefish, but shots splashed round. Perrin taking another broadside. Well, he got away with it, but they've just been forced completely off point C.
They're being forced straight into the middle of B, and I think this is exactly what they wanted, because the Minotaur and Des Moines are heading into A. There's plenty of locations here where they can just dip back and farm away.
Absolutely, and Gigglefish first out had to be broadside because of the way that channel's oriented. Managed to turn, but in doing so, he's gone broadside to the Des Moines and point A.
Glum's
who is...
made a bit of a mistake here. I think he's going to go down here free because he's running himself aground, broadside on to literally the entirety of BEWBS.
Yeah.
That was...
However, well, he might get away with it. Republic's not the toughest battleship in the game, but you're right, that's definitely a mistake. But Gigglefish, I would say, is in worse trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
and
gonna go down.
Gigglefish goes. Yep, there we are. Rapid fire.
Monitor in that spot.
8-inch.
Perfect fire.
And Glum's backed himself off, but he's not going to be able to turn fast enough to avoid the beating.
The salvos he's getting away with. Full Montana salvo, less than 3k.
Yeah, a Conqueror salvo, armor piercing. I think he took about 5k. I mean, there's
what
some...
sort of sacrifices has he been making? I want to know.
So do I. I mean, he's flat broadside. He should be dead by now. Okay, he's taken 2/3 damage, but...
He's still above 30k, though.
Yeah, I know. And if I'm not mistaken, because they've mostly been throwing armor piercing at him, no, he's not on fire. And he's trying to get his forward battery off. Got a bit greedy there. He's going to run himself aground again. He's going to side scrape the island if he's not careful. Okay, just how many gnomes has this man sacrificed? He's going to get away with it. And he takes out Perrinlund's on the way out as well. Wow. Okay, someone send that man to buy a lottery ticket quick before it wears off. I mean, he had a Conqueror, a Montana, a Hindenburg, a Minotaur.
Des Moines goes down to the...
Lord knows what else was shooting at him while he was stuck like that. Anyhow, BEWBS through B. They've still got C. I think they're going to...
A.
I think they're going to try and bulldoze A. I mean, they're probably reckoning they can do it between a Montana and a Conqueror and a Hindenburg versus a Des Moines and a Minotaur. But the problem is Renelm's on point, and those torp bombers looking hungry as well. He's angling against Babish, which is probably the smart thing to do, because he can deflect the worst of the 8-inch. But he's flat against the Minotaur, and he's going to have to turn and go broadside to Babish, or he's going to risk torpedoes. Giant Kiwi goes down.
He's off at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, he is, but in the process, oh, there's fire from the battleships. There's the single salvos from the Minotaur. And, yeah, Babish took advantage, bit of an exchange, but he did take out the Renelm's Hindenburg. However, that does leave a problem for their Minotaur, because of course now he is relatively spotted, thanks to proxy detection from the guns. They know at least his portside torpedo tubes are partially empty, and he's backed up against the line with 2 battleships closing on him, so he can probably take one if they're quick.
Victrix goes down in the meanwhile, but the Gearing did talk the Moskva, so...
Yeah. And indeed took out TY Black while he was pushing into sea, but I just want to see how Did Nothing and Mecro handle this, because they know full well that the first one round that corner is going to get a face full of torpedo.
Looks like Mecro's just going for it at this.
Yeah, we
have
have
the better chance of surviving technically.
True in
The port side, left side torps of the Minotaur, he launched 4 already. They might have already reloaded though at this point.
And he's still got 4 in the box even so. I think... I mean, as Mexican standoffs go, Mecro's seen something we haven't. And, okay, he's going to take...
He got a bit unlucky there.
He eats 2, but that's not the point, because now he knows the tubes are empty. Oh, hang on. Oh, dear.
They weren't empty.
Boom. The other 4 tubes reloaded. Ouch.
And now the Shimakaze Sergeant Cole coming in for some surprise butt sex on Anna.
Yes, and Did Nothing right now is in a really bad position, because, as you say, it's either surprise butt sex from the Shimakaze or not so surprising forward from the Minotaur, and in fact he's going to get both. Oh, and a bit of courtesy from the Hakuryu as well. Ooh, ouch. Yeah. Yeah, I think Mexican standoff was an interesting way to describe that one, but right now... Worstis on fire, 1500 health, back in the smoke cloud.
Team kills the Shimakaze.
Ouch!
And there goes.
And there it goes. I don't even know how the Republic team killed Shimakaze. Did you see that?
I did not see it. I'm going to fully intentional for the hell.
I suspect so. It's a training room game, and well, why not? Something nobody likes Japanese destroyers, especially not battleships. Right, so 3-0 to GWDYS, and a final game that was amusing, if nothing else.